Hi, this is Guided Project 1-6. I'm sorry, Independent Project 1-6. And it does start us with a blank workbook. So if you open it as blank, don't worry, that's on purpose. And it's going to have us build this, but don't worry about that either. It lets the computer do most of the work for us. So this says, as an accounts receivable clerk for Living Good Income Tax and Accounting, you track daily payments from clients in an Excel worksheet. After entering the data, you format the worksheet and prepare it for distribution to coworkers. So we are going to use our first function, sum, which is real easy, and then this is just kind of a repeat of what we just did in the guided project. So we want to launch it, click Enable Editing, and get started. Oh, it went away when I clicked Enable Editing. Let me bring it back. Instructions. All right, sorry about that. So the first thing it wants us to do is apply the organic theme. Again, there's no design tab in Excel, so we're going to hop over to Page Layout, click on the Themes button, and we are going to look for organic. For me, it is on the second row, third column. So we click on that. We can kind of see the fonts for the row and column headings changed a little bit. Step 2 wants us to type Living Good Income Tax and Accounting in cell A1. Again, be sure and type this exactly with the capitalization and spelling, or it will count you off. And it says press enter. So when you press enter, it automatically puts me in cell A2. I don't need to click or anything. I can just begin typing there. Step 4, accounts receivable. Done with those steps. Then it wants me to type the labels in row 4 as shown here. So I'm going to go to row 4. I'm going to start in A4. And the tab key will move you to the next thing, to the next cell. Enter key moves you down. Tab key moves you to the right. So to quickly type these in, I'm going to type in date tab, invoice tab, client ID tab, amount tab, payment date tab, and payment type. Oh, type. I'll press enter on that last one. We see this doesn't quite fit. Don't worry about that. It's going to have us fix that later. Oh, the very next step. Autofit columns E and F to display each label in row 4. So to select columns E and F, I want to go up to the column headings so that I get the down arrow. Click and hold, left mouse button, drag over to F, and then I can go either between them or to the border on the edge, or it doesn't matter, any one of these borders, so that my cursor changes to that vertical line with dual horizontal arrows, and double click. Oh, I'm wrong. That did the column before it. I want to go over here and double click. Excuse me. Okay. So then it wants us to go to cell A5. This is the first value under date. And it wants us to type in 8, 18, 19 in cell A5. And then hit enter to go down to cell A6 and type in 8, whoops, 8/20/19. And notice I type in 19, but when I hit enter, it changes it to 2019. It recognizes that as a date because Excel is smart. So we've set a pattern here of 2 days, 8/18 to 8/20. So that's 2 days in between. Then it wants me to select cells A5. So I go to A5 in the middle, so I get the big plus, drag down to A6, point to the fill handle in the lower right corner, so I get the skinny plus, and it wants me to drag it down to A15. So I should end with 9/7 as my date, and you can see they go in increments of 2 because that is the pattern that I set. Then it wants me to select cell B5, type in 1001 for the first invoice, hit enter, 1002 for the second invoice. Then it says select those two cells and use the fill handle to get them down to B15. Well, what we can do now is I can select those two cells, I can point to the fill handle and just double click. And because I kind of set my bottom boundary, the first one I had to drag, but now that I've set that bottom boundary, it goes down. So it should end on 1011. Then we want to go to cell C5 and it's showing us how these patterns work. It wants us to type in all caps LITA for Living Good Income Tax and Accounting 001. Go down, type in LITA 002, and same thing. Select both of those cells, point to the fill handle, double click, boom, boom. And then we want to go to cell D5, the amount. This time it wants us to type in 425 and go down and type in 450. So we've set a pattern of $25. Double click, it goes in increments of 5 down to 625. Go to our payment date. This time it wants me to start with 8/28/19. So 8/28/19. And then it wants me to go to 8/29/2019. So it's only an increment of 1 day. Same thing, grab that, point to the fill handle and double click. Comes down and it should also end on 9/7. Started later, but only went a single day. And then it says fill the rest of the cells D15. It did not. Oh, here we go. It's below. For whatever reason, they put this step below this image here, which is kind of the solution. So this is step 15. It wants us to go to cell F5, type in check. Again, be sure you use a capital C at the beginning. For cell E6, wants us to type in EFT for electronic fund transfer, and credit card in F7. Notice the first C in credit card is capitalized, the lower one is lowercase. Again, select those 3 cells this time and fill it down. It ends with EFT. I see my solution over here ends with EFT. If these bottom numbers are correct and match with your bottom numbers, the rest of it's going to be correct. So that's how you can create it kind of relatively quickly using the fill handle. So now we want to format this data. This is step 16. We want to select cells C5 through C15, increase the indent 1 time. So I'm going to go back to my home tab. In my alignment group, I want to click the increase indent button, and then it wants me to auto fit the column. So I'm going to go up to my column heading between C and D, double click, and that automatically fits my column. Then it says do the same for payment type data. So I'm going to go over here, select cells F5 through F15, increase the indent 1 time, go to my header between G and H and double click. They were already fit, so they did not need to auto fit. Then it says format the values in column D. So the values, this is the label. The values start here with 425, and it wants them to be accounting number format. You can either click the drop down and choose accounting, or this $ is accounting. We're going to click the $. And then it wants me to select cells A1 through F2. So I'm going to go to A1, over to F, and down to 2. And this time it wants me to click the alignment launcher on the home tab. And instead of merging these cells, for the horizontal alignment under text alignment, it wants me to choose center across selection. This is going to center them across what I have selected, but it's going to leave them as independent cells. So I'm going to choose that, say OK, and then it wants me to increase the font to 18. So I'm going to click my font drop down and choose 18. So even though these cells are still independent cells, it's important to note that the label here, you'll see in my formula bar, is empty unless I'm in cell A1. So it still considers this text. See here I have C2 selected, nothing. When I click on A2, there's my text. Okay, step D wants us to select the labels in row 4. So that's date through payment type. And then it just wants me to bold and center. So we bold in the font group, and then we click center in the alignment group. Step E says to auto fit all the columns that do not show my data. Well, just to be sure, I don't want to get column A, because if I try to auto fit that, I thought it was going to go with this merge. I'm just going to go over and select all of my columns, go over here and double click. I see a few of them changed, and I am good. Step F wants us to put those borders on it, again for easy readability. So it wants all borders on A4. So I'm going to go to A4, put my cursor in the middle, or my pointer in the middle, so I get the big plus. Drag over to F and down to 15. And then I'm going to apply all borders. So in my font group, I want to click the drop down. I want to go down and choose all borders. Then it wants me to select A1 over to F and down to 2, and it wants me just to choose an outside border. So that's just going to put a border around the outside of that selection. Then it wants me to apply a green accent 1 color 60% fill to A1 through F2 and through A4 to F4. So I'm going to do this one first. I'm going to show you a slow way and then an easy way. So I've selected A1 through F2. I want to go to my fill, which is my paint bucket here. Hit the drop down. It wants me to go to the 5th column. That's green accent 1, but it wants me to go down to green accent 1 lighter 60%, the 3rd one down. So I choose on that. It puts this ugly green color up here. Then it wants me to choose A4 through F4. And now my fill color will remember that, so I can just click the big part of the paint bucket and it'll put that on there. The next step says, hey, do the same thing to A6 through F6. Same thing, I'm going to select A6 through F6, click the paint bucket. That's the slow one. In step I, they show us the fast way. So this is using the control key like we've done before to select non-adjacent data. So I'm going to select A8 through F8, hold down control on my keyboard, select A10 through F10, still holding down control, A12 through F12, still holding down control, A14 through F14, and then click the blue or the green paint bucket. And this is just making it easy, so if someone came along to read it, it'd be easier for them to read across the lines. Step 17 wants us to rename the sheet as AR for accounts receivable. We can either go down and right click on the sheet tab where it says sheet 1, and you could go up to rename, but the easier way is just to double click on it, type in AR, both caps, hit enter. Step 18 wants us to define page layout. So it wants us to center the worksheet horizontally on the page. This is not in a very intuitive spot for me. So what we're going to do is go to page layout, and it's under margins. We're going to go to margins and then go to custom margins. This takes us to the page, and then we want to choose under the center on page horizontally. We click OK, and we won't see a page here until we go to the page preview, which I'll show you in just a minute. So again, that's under margins, custom margins, and then under center and page. Then it wants us to create a header with the sheet name in the left section and your name in the right section. So to create that header, the easiest way is to go down to the page layout view. This gives us our header. In the left section, we want to click in there. This gives us our header and footer toolbar, and it wants the sheet name. So we're going to go up here and choose sheet name. This pulls this ampersand placeholder that's going to grab this sheet name and plug it in there. Then we want to go over to the right. You see when I clicked off of it, it went from ampersand tab to the sheet name down here. And then it wants our name in the right section. So I'm going to put your name in there. Step C wants us to delete an existing author and key in your first name in the properties box. This is like we did before where we access that backstage view. So we're going to click on the File tab. If necessary, we want to go to Info. And then if you've got an author, delete what's there. But we want to click in Add an Author and type in your first and last name. And then in the title text box up here, it wants us to type in receivables. And if you don't see that, whoops, receivables plural. If you don't see that, you can go to Properties, Advanced Properties, and there's a place to put my email in there. I'm going to go and put my name back in. Oh, it's off my screen. Whoop. You can also change it there. I'm going to put my name back in, and away we go. The last step wants us to preview it, so I'm going to click Print. And here's where we'll see that we've centered it horizontally. We've got our header in here, and we've color-coded it to make it easy to read. So then we want to save it. It says close it, but I'm going to leave mine open until I upload that guy. Let's upload it, Independent Project 1.6. And let's see how we did. 95% or 98% missed half a point. What did I do? Oh, I did skip a step. Okay. So I missed this step in our instructions that said to make the change the sheet tab color. So I'm going to fix that. That's a real easy fix. So I'm just going to click my back button, go back down in my instructions, and here is the instruction that I missed right here. All I've got to do to fix that, over here on my Excel, I want to right click on my sheet tab. I want to go up to tab color, and it wants it to be green accent 1, the 5th column. Click on that. Now you can see it changed it. I'm going to resave that guy, and I'm going to get my half point. Make sure I have the most recent one there. And it looks like we are in business. Thank you for watching. Again, if you have any questions, please reach out. Have a great day.